Today we are discussing about viruses. Viruses are microscopic organisms that can infect hosts like humans, plants, or animals. They are a small piece of genetic information, DNA or RNA, inside of protective shell called capsid. Some viruses also have a envelope. Viruses cannot reproduce without a host. Some common diseases caused by viruses include the flu, the common cold, and COVID 19. Overview. What is viruses? Viruses are small germs or pathogens that can infect you and make you sick. They can infect humans, plants, animals, bacteria, and fungi. Each one infects only specific type of host. Viral infection in humans can causes no symptoms or make you externally ill. Type of disease that can cause include respiratory illness, diarrhea and vomiting, sexually transmitted infections, skin conductions. A virus is a small piece of genetic information in a carrying case, a protective coating called capsid. Viruses are not made up of cells, so they do not have all the equipment that cells do to make more copies of themselves. Instead, they carry instruction with them and use a host cell equipment to make more copies of viruses. It's like someone breaking into your house to use your kitchen. This virus brought its own recipe, but it needs to use your dishes, measuring cups, mixtures, and on to it, make it. Unfortunately, they usually leave a big mess when you finally kick them out. Viruses are also sometimes called virions. Viruses share some common feature viruses. Viruses are made up of genetic material called DNA or RNA and a protective protein coating capsid. Sometimes have another layer called an envelope around the capsid. Viruses without an envelope are called naked viruses. Viruses are similar to parasites. They need a host to reproduce. They will survive without or outside of an host until their capsid breaks down over time. Viruses are 100 to 1000 times smaller than the cell in our body. What are the types of viruses? Expert groups viruses into categories like family and genus based on similar features like size, shape, and types of genetic material they carry. So, common types of viruses that you might hear about include influenza viruses, human herpes viruses, coronaviruses, human poliovirus, introviruses, flaviroviruses, other proxy viruses. There are some viruses that have unique qualities like retroviruses and other oncoviruses. Influenza viruses. Now we are discussing about influenza viruses. The orthomyo viruses family of viruses include influenza A and B, which causes the flu. Strain of influenza A also cause avian flu, bird flu, and swine flu H1N1. Human herpes viruses. Herpes viruses is a large family of viruses. They cause several types of illness like oral and genital herpes, chickenpox, shingles, Epstein-Barr, Epstein-Barr, and cytomegalovirus. Coronaviruses. Coronaviruses are a subfamily of viruses. SARS-CoV-2. The virus that causes COVID-19 is probably the most well-known coronavirus. But other types of coronaviruses called mild illness like cold, human papillomavirus are a part of Papillomatoria family of viruses. They causes worse. Some types of HPV can lead to cancers. Environment. Viruses is a genus one level smaller than the group called a family of viruses that infect your intestinal tract. Types of viruses causes polio and hand, foot, and mouth disease.